What is up, my friends? I do apologise, I'm a couple of minutes late. I was just about to start the stream and then my computer said to me, you need to charge your mouse, you idiot. So I had to go and grab a wire to charge my mouse, hence why I'm a little bit late. So I do apologise, but I hope we're all in good spirits this evening. There is a lot for us to go through. I feel like this is going to be the case for quite a while this season. But I'm happy to be here as always. Thank you to everyone, by the way, that was watching the videos earlier on. Really appreciate your support. And recorded the second part of the end of season player ratings video today. So that's going to go out later on in the week. I think Friday, if I'm being honest with you. Part 1 and part 2. So appreciate your support as always. Lovely to see you guys in Vietnam in the house. We love that. Welcome in, my friend. Lovely to have you in. New t-shirt. Yes, Dave. Spot on. I bought a couple of new Adidas t-shirts because I feel like it's time to move out of the hoodie season into the t-shirt season. And you know me, dude. I'm a creature of habit. I love my Adidas stuff. So got a couple of t-shirts that are actually identical to some of the hoodies I own. But there you go. Just feel like it's time for summer, Craig, Dave. Right. Couple of things I want to say really quickly. Firstly, about our live shows. What I assume is that all of our moderators are in Discord, but if you aren't in Discord and you're a moderator here on the Anfield Agenda channel, we'd like to make sure that if any of you guys want to go to any of our live shows, you know that as moderators you have the ability to get free tickets from us. So if you didn't know that and you are a moderator, just drop me an email or name one of the moderators and we'll get it sorted out. Belfast is coming up, man. 4 days until we're in Belfast. I cannot believe it. 4 little days until we go up to Belfast for the first of our last ever 3 live shows. Cannot wait to be up there. We'll see you guys on Friday. Tickets are still on sale on Ticketmaster if you want to grab yourself one. And then Cardiff, Liverpool, you know the score there. As always, Adidas needs to sponsor you at this point, said King. Dude, that's the dream. I won't lie, mate. That's the dream. You know, Adidas. Even if Liverpool and Adidas start working together next year, which I believe they're going to, even just some stuff to review would be amazing, just to save me going broke. Because you know I'm an Adidas fanboy, so as soon as Adidas start making the Liverpool gear again, I'm about to be broke. Because it's going to cost me a lot of money, because I love Adidas gear. I'm going to listen to this as I sleep. It's 2:30 a.m, mate. Thanks for the free background noise. I love you. Hey, all good, my man. I'm somebody who can't go to sleep myself without background noise. I always have the TV on when I'm going to sleep. I need that distraction. So if I would say dulcet tones, but look, if my rambling voice helps you get to sleep, so be it. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a lot to go through, and there's a lot to talk about today. Liverpool related, not Liverpool related. The weirdest one, though, I've seen so far today is that Aston Villa have set a price tag for Philippe Coutinho at between £6 and £8 million, but would also be open to a loan deal. It never ceases to amaze me how far his career went off after he left Liverpool. You know, he showed glimpses at Barca, glimpses at Villa at what he was capable of, but do you ever just think to yourself what may have happened if Philippe Coutinho had have stayed at Liverpool? Because I'm not going to lie to you, folks. When he was at Liverpool, I was in love. I loved him. I loved him endlessly. And for me, that was one of the toughest losses that we've suffered as a player. Him, Luis Suarez, they're ones that just stung me personally because I was very attached to both of them. And I often wonder what he would be like if he had stuck around, you know, because P. Coutinho, I was watching some clips the other day, just next level, like next level. It's such a shame he didn't listen and stick around at Liverpool, and they would have probably built him that statue. Why did he leave? Barcelona is why he left. Barcelona came a-calling on a few occasions. Look, I don't want to go into the whole Coutinho thing again. It kind of got me thinking, you know, about when Coutinho was a Liverpool player and, you know, we plucked him from Inter Milan. If my memory's right, I think it was the same summer or the same window that we got Danny Sturridge. Maybe it was the January window. And what a player he was when we brought him in from Inter. Who do you think the new forwards are going to be? Said Anne F. How do I pronounce this one? Anfliv? I'm going to go through it tonight. There's a couple of fresh names that have popped up today and a couple of interesting tidbits as well that I wanted to go through. So those of you who will have watched the transfer news video earlier on today will have known... What's this? Oh, Lee Gunners joined. Say hello. How are we, Lee? Nice to see you, bro. Lee's in the chat, I think. We love that. Big fan. Big friend. big mate, top guy. Always lovely to see Lee in. So yes, if you are in the chat, Lee, I can't see your comment at the minute, bro. But if you are in there, I hope you're well. Always lovely to see you in. Right, let's get cracking. So, we discussed a little bit. He is in there. Lee Ray, there we go. We love it. Welcome in, guys. Always a pleasure to have you in. Myself and Lee should probably do more stuff together, because could you imagine me and Lee as an example doing a pod? I mean, that would be box office. Myself and Mr. Gunner. He's one of my best friends in this industry, and I've nothing but love for Lee. So, always lovely to see Lee or his audience in. You're all very welcome to join us. Right, guys, there's a load for us to get through today. Firstly, well, I think we can safely say that, according to David Ornstein anyway, Kieran McKenna is going to stay put at Ipswich Town and sign a new 3-year contract. Loads of talk about him going to the likes of Manchester United, Chelsea as well, but he is going to stay at Ipswich Town. And I've got to say, I think it's the right decision. I think it's the right decision for Kieran McKenna at this point in his career. Another interesting one today is the Chelsea managerial situation. Looks like it's been resolved as well. According to, again, David Ornstein, Leicester City have granted Chelsea formal permission to speak with Enzo Maresca, and it looks like this would be a 5-year deal. A 5-year deal. Now, ironically, if you look back at why he left previous clubs when he was working in Italy, he spoke about the fact that there were so many players brought in one season and it was very difficult to adapt, and that's why they didn't get the results. And yet dude's going to Chelsea? I can't be the only one who's a little bit confused by that, but there you go. So it looks like Chelsea have got their manager sorted out. Barcelona look like they've got their manager sorted out in Hansi Flick, but we still don't know what's going on with Ken Lasso and the situation at Manchester United. So as we find more news on that, of course, we will say hello. Now, everyone that's joining us from Lee's channel, always lovely to see you guys in. Appreciate you giving up some of your time to come in and have a chat with us. If you are new, guys, please do hit that subscribe button. And again, lovely to see you guys in. And big fans of Lee, as you know. He's my best mate in this industry, most likely. That's probably the only way I can describe it. Me and Lee have great conversations, and I really do value his opinion. Right, so what do we want to talk about tonight to start off with? We've done a little bit on Coutinho, but there's loads of transfer gossip that I wanted to fly through. Some of it, Liverpool players leaving, some of it players coming in towards Liverpool, and some of them, quite frankly, just unlikely. So where do you want me to start? Hincapie. Right, let's go with him. Lee, there you are, bro. I'm going to make you a mod, Lee, so I can see when you come in. To make sure I can see you when you come in. I don't want to be missing you when you come in, bro. So there we go. Look, if you haven't checked out either of Lee's channels, do check them both out. He is, if you like me for being somebody who says it as it is, or at least how I see it, I think you'll like Mr. Lee Gunner as well. He's a good friend of mine, somebody whose opinion I hold really dearly, and somebody who I know I can open up and chat to when I need to. So big love to Lee and all of his chat that have welcomed or popped in to say hello. Right, let's talk Hincapie to start off then, seeing as that's what you guys would like to kick us off with tonight. It does look like he could be available to sell or to buy for somebody. And I'm not necessarily saying it's going to be Liverpool, but Bild in Germany are reporting that should Jonathan Tah, another centre-back there at Bayer Leverkusen, should Jonathan Tah decide to extend his contract and stay at Bayer Leverkusen, that Piero Hincapié could become a candidate for sale. And he's wanted by Liverpool and Chelsea, according to this piece, and he's valued at between 60 and 70 million euro. So we did know that Leverkusen were likely to sell one player. That's their business model. They speak about it quite a bit. That they like to bring in 3 players off the back of selling a player. So if they're open to selling Piero Hincapié for 60 to 70 million euro, you know what I'm about to do, right? You know what I'm about to do. I'm going to put it to a poll. I want to know, would you take Piero Hincapié for, let's say, 55 million quid? So let's start that one. Would you like Hincapie or Hincapie? I always pronounce that name incorrectly. For, what is it, about £55 million there, thereabouts? So would you take, or would you like Hincapie for around £55 million? Yay or nay? I'm going to put that as the first poll of the night, and we'll let you guys crack away on it. So if Lee's channel are new in, we love a poll on this channel, lads. We love a poll. We're always talking about giving people's voices, and we want to make sure that it's not just me on here rambling, and I want to know what you guys think. So Piero Hincapié for about £55 million. What we say in Anfield Agenda audience. Alex said Chelsea are going to be a mid-table club. Sad that Leeds couldn't get promoted, but Southampton's also good, said LFC Louis. Yeah, look, I was in the position, mate, when that championship playoff final was on. I like both clubs. I didn't mind whether it was Leeds or Southampton that came up. Probably better for us that Leeds didn't, if we are really interested in Crescencio Somerville, and I'm going to talk about that in a while, because that'll probably force Leeds' hand a little bit. And there's been an article today that said that he has almost certainly played his last game for Leeds. Now, it doesn't go on to say he's nailed on to come to Liverpool, but we will catch up with that in a little bit of a while. A little bit of a while. Is that even a fucking phrase? But there you go. Craig, what do you think about Somerville? 21 goals and 11 assists in the championship, said Woofu Blam Blam. That's a belter of a name, bro. Woofu Blam Blam, I love it. And was championship's best player. So I'm going to be honest, mate, and say what I've said all along. I haven't watched all that much of Crescencio Somerville, but opinion seems to be quite split when I speak about him on the streams. Some people, like yourself, will say, absolute bargain, great player, no-brainer for the right price. And I will say that there is certainly concrete interest there. He is a name that even before Arne Slot was announced as Liverpool's head coach, he's a name that was being spoken about as somebody that Liverpool are looking at. So I don't know if that would have increased, because of course now Arne Slot's officially the head coach. You don't know if these Dutch connections are just lazy connections in the media. But I don't know. I just don't know enough about him to know if it would be a masterstroke or the height of stupidity. And I'm going to be honest with you. So I just trust at this point. We talk about trust in the process quite a bit, and Arsenal fans who've joined us in the chat will know all about that as well. But in this instance, I do trust the process that the club will make the right additions. Why does everyone in the championship seem to hate Leeds, by the way? I don't know. I often struggle with why everybody seems to hate Liverpool as well. But I don't know, maybe it's because Leeds fans are quite boisterous. I like them because, of course, they're also anti-Manchester United, which always goes down well with me. Somerville is a small town boy. I'm sure there's a song in there somewhere. Just a small town boy, living in a lonely world. I'm not even going to try and sing the rest of that. What have we got? A little bit of a while. Yeah, it's like I didn't do nothing, which means something. It's Dublin. I'm from Dublin, but there you go. I was just rambling and it kind of just fell out my mouth. Archie Gray, best player for Leeds. If we're looking to buy from Leeds, he's the best player. Well, he's a completely different position, but yes, Archie Gray is somebody that... We spoke about him on last night's stream, actually. Let me see if I still have it in my notes. I'm just going to scroll back to the little bit we talked about last night with Archie Gray. 1 second. I'm just going back through my notes yesterday. Bear with me. Yeah, so... Matt Hughes said, Liverpool are preparing a summer bid for 17-year-old Leeds United midfielder Archie Gray. Look, I'm all in, lads. No problem. If Liverpool are interested in Archie Gray, then let's get it done. Yeah, I'd be delighted with Archie Gray. Now, I wouldn't say that he's going to come into the Liverpool first team and start playing straight away. I think the sensible thing there to do may be a loan back to Leeds United for another season, but... Again, he's been a player that I've seen linked with Liverpool for quite a while. Did anybody see Kevin Palmer's post? So Kevin Palmer's a journalist. This isn't really transfer related, but I did want to ask if you'd seen his post. So he posted up the picture of the Manchester City title winning parade. Let's use the word parade. And by the way, Sky, come on now. Sky have lost their damn minds again. I was watching Sky Sports last night and they said Manchester City on their parade to the huge crowds that came to visit them. You what now? A huge what now? Because we've all seen the bleeding pictures. There's no huge crowd. But Kevin Palmer, I think, sums up all of us. And he said, baffling why Manchester City keep making a mockery of themselves with these woefully attended trophy parades. The few hundred fans in this image are walking up the road alongside the buses with players on them. Inevitably, they'll be laughed at. Yes, they will. And I'll be at the front of the queue to laugh at them because they are a tin pot club. And this pretense that they have a huge worldwide fan base baffles me, because nobody gives a shit. Like, we know it at this point. Why do they keep having these parades? All they're short of doing is getting holograms now to try and pump out the numbers on these parades. Because I've seen bigger queues for concert tickets. I've seen bigger queues for PlayStation 5s than Manchester City got for their parade. All the other Premier League teams should join together to demand action with City's charges. If there's no action, everybody agree to refuse to play, said Corey Peters. The whole situation, mate, is mad. Like, we're going into year number 6 now, where we're talking about these Manchester City investigations and charges. And it is quite pathetic that we still don't have an answer to all of this. I think we're all concerned that there's probably some geopolitical influence going to be involved in this, and that we might not get the outcome that we all believe would be the correct one. But I do feel like, in fairness to many swathes of the media, that there was some people finally saying at the end of the season, yes, Manchester City have won 4 in a row, but we can't not talk about the 115 charges. So hopefully we do see something about that come to a conclusion soon. And Guardiola, by the way, looking like he's departing after one more season. And I don't want him slithering off after getting away with it either. I want to make sure that if City are held to account, that he's also held to account, because he dug his heels in, said he believed the club, believed they've done nothing wrong, and I don't think he believes that one bit. So I hope if they do get punished that his reputation is tainted by it, because it deserves to be, in my opinion. Craig, are you not concerned Trent only committing another 12 months at the Mo? Where is the loyalty? I mean, I've been speaking out for quite a while, bro, Simon, about this situation with Mohamed Salah, with Virgil van Dijk, and with Trent Alexander-Arnold. I've been screaming about it for at least 6 months. And some people agree with me. Some people told me to calm down, that it'll be all sorted out. It is an embarrassing position at this point that you have 3 of your most influential players all being able to dictate that next stage of their career now because of Liverpool's unwillingness or inability to resolve their contracts. I hope we see a resolution in a positive way. I can't imagine Trent leaving. But I also know Real Madrid are sniffing around. And if Real Madrid are sniffing around and Liverpool aren't showing Trent the love, which they should be, then we could have an issue. The Mohamed Salah one, as we spoke about many times, I'm absolutely convinced he's looking to try and run his contract down and leave on a free. And Virgil, I get the feeling that we will see an extension for Virgil van Dijk. But again, I can't argue about or against anybody who's a little bit concerned that these things are dragging on. Craig, is the Premier League scared of City? That's what's taken so long for their charges. So I've looked at it from that angle as well. And I've looked at it from the angle of, you know, is there an appetite for the Premier League to punish City because they're the standard bearers at the minute? But what you don't want to happen is the Premier League to become a farmers' league where City win it 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years in a row. So I would hope that the integrity of the other 19 clubs involved in the league is weighing on their mind as well. Now, to be fair to the Premier League, they've brought the charges against Manchester City. Now it has to be heard by an independent commission, and we'll see what that outcome is. Craig, they shouldn't have won it, bro. The docu pen at Anfield and Arsenal are champions. Look, there's loads of decisions this year, and we spoke again yesterday about a study that was conducted that shows that Liverpool were the worst treated. I'm going to read this out for you again, just in case you missed it yesterday. So, Liverpool were the club who suffered the most from VAR mistakes in the past season, and this is according to the Premier League's independent key match incidents panel. The panel was set up 2 years ago and reviews every major incident in matches. A list of 31 decisions that the panel deemed to be wrong has been published by ESPN, and more than one incident involving Liverpool. The list shows that Liverpool have been the most impacted by decisions that the panel have concluded were wrong. Liverpool are said to have been on the end of 4 incorrect decisions that went against them, with none, not one incorrect decision going for us. Now, call me a conspiracy theorist, but that stinks. And it isn't the first year that we've appeared at the top of one of these lists with the most shafted decisions going against us. I can think back to the Spurs game. I can think back to the Arsenal game, the Odegaard handball. I can think back to the Doku incident. I can think back to the red card for Curtis Jones, Alexis McAllister, and many more. So, yeah, I think we've every right to be a little bit annoyed by VAR, and I don't have any trust in it, to be honest with you. Hincapie is a quality player. He can play left back if needed. I would really love him in the squad, said Pro. City could be losing Ederson this season since he's been linked to Al Ittihad. Yes, so both the Brazilian goalkeepers, Manchester City's Ederson and of course our goalkeeper Alisson Becker, have been linked with moves to the Saudi Pro League. Weirdly, Rafa Leao has also been linked with a move to, I think it's Al Ittihad or Al Hilal? I can't remember which one he's been linked with, but let's wait and see. You know, I thought the Saudi clubs were looking to bring in young talent. I thought they were changing the course of action, but you've seen De Bruyne linked, you've seen Fernandes linked, Alisson linked, Ederson linked. I don't know what to expect. What about City with VAR? I don't have that information to hand, so I can't give you an answer to that one, I'm afraid. So this came out from Matt Hughes as well. It says, Roberto De Zerbi has emerged as a surprise candidate for the manager's job at Manchester United should the club decide to sack Ten Hag. It's mad looking at the polls for United fans on these, because a few weeks ago it was sack him. Now he's won a cup and the options are looking slim for managerial replacements, and United fans are now leaning towards keeping Ten Hag. I hope they keep him because they won't last another season before they sack him. Right, let's check in on the poll, the first poll of the night anyway. By the way, how has half an hour nearly gone by already? That's absolute madness. So welcome into you all. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. So we asked you guys, would you take Hincapie for £55 million? And 81% of you guys so far have said you would. I'm going to leave that up a little bit longer, try and get it over 1,000 votes. And then we'll see what happens. Again, just something we spoke about as well previously, but I got to remind you, Liverpool have been confirmed to be in pot 1 for next season's Champions League group stage. Under the new league format, that means that we will face 2 of either Manchester City, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, PSG, Inter Milan, Borussia Dortmund, RB Leipzig or Barcelona. 1 home game, 1 away game. Now, people are asking, is there no country protection in the Champions League anymore? And from what I'm able to gather, there is and there isn't. So for countries that have 4 or more representatives in the Champions League, which is most of the big leagues in Europe, the hope is that they don't have to draw group stage games of people from the same division. So 2 Premier League teams playing each other. But there is a circumstance where they could come to a bit of a roadblock where they have to. But they do say that maximum 1 game if you do get forced into this against a team from your own nationality, your own country. So there is a world where we play, let's say, Manchester City once in those 8 games. And it is 8 games now in the group stage against 8 different teams. 4 of them at home, 4 of them away. And we'll become a lot more familiar with this over the next few weeks and months as we move closer to the new Champions League format. What's going on with Adeyemi? Thank you, Cahill. You have brought me to my next bit of information, bro. Let's talk a little bit about Karim Adeyemi. So, on this one, as of yet, I don't have a definitive link for Liverpool to Adeyemi, but Mr. I change my mind every 5 minutes, Florian Plettenberg, said, news on Adeyemi. At the right price, Borussia Dortmund is open to discussing and would be willing to sell the 22-year-old winger. He's contracted until 2027 and he is looking for a new agent. So this might come down to what agency he signs up with. Adeyemi, with a market in the Premier League, there are already interested teams. He goes on to say, Dortmund want to go all in for Fulkrich and from Stuttgart, and it depends on their plans in the wing position. Currently their interest is cooled somewhat, but they are open to selling Karim Adeyemi, and I would take him in a heartbeat. You know, we were in for Adeyemi before he went to be Borussia Dortmund, and nothing has changed in my mind, only for he's matured a little bit, got a lot more experience. They don't talk about a price here from Florian Plettenberg, but for me, I'd very much take Karim Adeyemi at Liverpool. And I'm going to put that to the poll, the next poll now in a moment or two. At 22 years of age as well, he does fall into that sweet spot. If Liverpool, and I don't know what the numbers are, the underlying numbers here that Richard Hughes and that Edwards would and Julian Ward will have looked at, but he is a player that obviously we have history with, having looked to bring him in before he signed for Dortmund. So maybe there's a bargain there to be had, or maybe he hasn't proved himself enough. So I guess I'm going to ask you guys now, would you be interested? So we've just about got up to the 1,000 vote mark on the Piero Hincapié poll question. We need about 30 more votes before I close that one off. And we asked, would you take Hincapié for 55 million quid? And 82% of you guys watching would say yes, you would take him for 55 million quid, which I agree with. I think, you know, we need a left-footed, left-sided centre-back. I think he's left-footed, if I'm not mistaken. Certainly plays the left side of defence, but I'd be all over it at 55 million quid. Do the pots make a difference now? I swear you play 2 from each pot. Anyway, yes, you do. You're spot on. You do. You play 2 from pot 1, 2 from pot 2, 2 from pot 3, 2 from pot 4. They do make a difference because you're seeded, meaning, in theory, you should not get a group of death. Like, let's say, Newcastle got this season as an example. So the seedings do matter, and Liverpool are in pot 1. Barcelona just about scraped into pot 1 at the very end as well, so they are in there. Right, what's this one? Patrick said, new Champions League format sticks of Super League. It's probably the compromise, mate, between what the clubs wanted for the Super League and what UEFA were willing to do. It does feel like it is somewhere in the middle. You get the extra games. The games apparently, you know, mean more now because you play 8 different opponents rather than 3 different opponents, home and away, which was the old Champions League format. You do play 8 group games, but it'll be against 8 different opponents, 4 at home, 4 away. I love the show, Craig. Definitely think we should sell Salah or offer him an extension. Can't let him go for nothing. Listening and watching in Mullingar. I always have a soft spot for Mullingar. When I first started going out with my wife, her parents had a mobile home down at Lough Ennell, and we spent loads of time down there over the course of the years, mate. So I always have a soft spot for Mullingar. Right, let's get into the question now about 1 second. Sorry, I just want to open up my chat here. Let's get into the question about Mr. Adeyemi. So, would you like Adeyemi at Liverpool? Because I don't know the price. So I think the fairest question for the poll is, would you take him at Liverpool? So, would you take Adeyemi at Liverpool, yes or no? We'll leave that running in the background. Subscribe to Craig. Yes, please do. And also, don't forget to get your tickets if you want to come and see us. We are only doing 3 more live shows, and then we're hanging up our microphones for live shows. Belfast is on Friday. You can get those tickets in the description of this stream or by clicking on the link there at the top, which will bring you all of our socials and all of our links as well to the shows. Got an update on the Cardiff and Liverpool shows. And I think we could be heading for sellouts in Cardiff and Liverpool because the tickets are going really, really well. And they've only been on sale for quite a couple of weeks. So if you want to come to any of our live shows, Belfast is this Friday. It's going to be the last Irish show I ever do. So if you want to come along, get your tickets on Ticketmaster. And Cardiff and Liverpool are priced at just £15 a ticket. We'll be in Cardiff August the 2nd and we'll be in Liverpool on August the 4th. And you can get the link for those tickets at the top of the chat or in the description. What about Rodrigo? I mean, we'd all love a bit of Rodrigo, mate. Let's be honest with you. But I just don't see Real Madrid being willing to sell up and move Rodrigo on. But I would, in a heartbeat, take Rodrigo. So Liverpool released a post that showed every debutant that has played for Liverpool this season. It's an interesting list, so I'm going to quickly fly through it. So the people who made their debut in the Liverpool first team with a 2023-24 campaign are Luke Chambers, Jayden Danns, Wataru Endo, Ryan Gravenberch, James McConnell, Alexis McAllister, Lewis Kumas, Mateusz Muzialowski, Trey Neone, Jarell Kwanzaa, Callum Scanlon and Dominic Soboslai. So they were all of our debutants for this campaign. Where are we going with this one? I'm going to move on in a minute to talk about Santiago Gimenez from Feyenoord. But before I do, I want to get some more of your opinions on Adeyemi. If you were Michael Edwards and you were considering a move for Adeyemi, what's the number? What's fair market value for you if you were in Michael Edwards' position? And Nick, welcome mate to Anfield Agenda FC. Appreciate you, bro. It's lovely to see you in. I think you're the first new membership of the night, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, welcome in. In my view, Rodrigo is the best option to replace Mo Salah, said Tupac. I'm not going to disagree with Tupac. I'm not silly. Nah, mate, I'm with you. You know, if you said to me, pick somebody, I'd pick Rodrigo. I'd be right there with you. I just don't know how realistic it is. Right, so let's have a look at some of your valuations. The first two are quite wide. Nix says 30 million. Then Mahmood says 80 million. Samson said 40 million. Rainbow Go-Kart, 65 million max. 60 million for Darwizi. Oscar said 40 mil. 75 mil for Scouser Cam. Stephen Rosca, 60 mil. Cahill, 30 mil. I think the number's probably somewhere between 40 and 50, if I'm being honest with you. But as I said, nothing's been mentioned other than Florian Plettenberg saying that they could be willing to do business on Adeyemi this summer. 45. There's a good few between 40, 45 million. A lot of you guys and girls have been putting in about 40, 45 million in there as well. Bowen in the cheap. He's not though. Crimbo. That's the problem. They're talking 100 million for Bowen. At least that's what they were talking about last year when there was some inquiries from. And I love Jared Bowen, but I can't see Michael Edwards ponying up 100 million quid if that is the number that indeed they'd want. You know, Bowen, I'd take. Kudus, I'd take. Rodrigo in a heartbeat, I'd take. Then there's like fantasy players like Florian Wirtz, who's not going to be allowed to leave Leverkusen this summer. Is Adeyemi good? I'd rather go for Lookman. Well, Lookman's a bit older at 26. Also been moved around quite a bit. And never really had a full breakthrough season for me, Ademola Lookman. Had an incredible Europa League final. I mean, that's his final. He owns it. But I don't know. I'm not sure if Lookman has the consistency at 26 as well for Liverpool to look at. I still ain't gotten over Klopp leaving too soon for all of this. It's going to be very weird when we see Arne Slot conduct his first press conference, which I assume is going to be June the 1st, which is when he starts work. But yeah, I'm right with you. It still hasn't sunken into me either. Like when you see the words former Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp, it still takes a bit of getting used to. We will get Mbappe. There are rumours. So there was a story going back about a month, I think, from Goal that said that he was going to snub Real Madrid and come to Liverpool. I mean, come on now. I think you'll see Kylian Mbappe announced as a Real Madrid player a day or two after the Champions League. Are we out of the race for Kudus? Truly, I don't know. The last thing I seen on Kudus was David Ornstein saying that Kudus and Paqueta both have release clauses in their contracts. Now, some people believe those release clauses aren't triggerable, at least for Kudus, until next summer. But either way, I haven't seen the confirmation. His release clause, I believe, is £85 million, which is quite a lot of money. Sorry, I needed to cough. I didn't want to cough down the microphone. Ugarte is what we need. Sign me up. I'm there, right with you. I still feel like Ugarte was that one that got away. Him and Van de Ven from Spurs. I've said this so many times. They're two I think we got wrong by not going after. Mick M said Adeyemi, 21 games, 3 goals, 1 assist. Think he needs more time. Max 30 million for him. So if Salah stayed and ran down his deal, which by the way I don't want him to do because I think the club need to get money from or extend. But that would give an option for Adeyemi to spend a bit more time. It would also give us an option to have a better look at the likes of Ben Doak, Cade Gordon as well. Do you know what makes me nervous, guys? If I'm being really honest, I'm seeing lots of talk about cheap signings again and bargains, and and the manager coming in to develop youth. And look, we all love a youth player coming through. We do. And we've had some brilliant players come off the production line over recent years. But we also need to act like a big club occasionally. And the positions for me that need to be addressed are centre-back, defensive midfield, and an attacker. Now, David Lynch has been speaking a little bit about the defensive midfield position, and I'll come on to talk about that in a second. I just want to... Oh, Nick, for a super chat of the night. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate you, mate. Said, Craig, how are you? Who do you think Slot will make his Trent somebody who will make a massive impact in the first team from our academy? I mean, it's probably a lazy response for me, Nick, but I'm going to say Bradley. Because he's the one primed, in my opinion, to make that breakthrough and nail down a position to make his own. You know, Jayden Danns is an interesting one. I feel like the best course of action for Danns is to loan him for a season. I think Leeds, ironically, would be a great place to loan him out to. Or Hull. We've a good relationship with Hull as well. They've looked after the young players that we've loaned out there. Who else am I thinking about coming through from the youth team? I've got to say, I'm a little bit behind with regards to keeping track of the youth team. It's not something I have enough time to really keep an eye on, but I do feel like Bradley is going to have a huge impact next season. And Bobby Clark's another one I really like as well. What about Arthur, as in Arthur Mello? He's been linked with Everton, actually, surprisingly enough, if he's the Arthur you're talking about. Right, so I did say I was going to speak about Santiago Gimenez because there was a little piece that I read today in the Echo that his praises were being sung by Dirk Kuyt, basically. So, yeah, I do have a little bit on Sepp van den Berg, King. I'll get to that in a minute, bro. Don't worry. I do have a little bit on Van den Berg. So, Santiago Gimenez. This article starts off by saying, Núñez has been heavily linked with an exit from Anfield. Then it says, fortunately for Liverpool, though, Arne Slot and Dirk Kuyt already know a perfect replacement, Santiago Gimenez from Feyenoord, Slot and Kuyt's former employers. The 23-year-old striker, who sees his contract at Feyenoord expire in 2027, featured 30 times in the Eredivisie this term, scoring 23 goals and providing 6 assists. While Gimenez couldn't quite help Feyenoord retain the title as Dutch champions, he did help the club get their hands on the Dutch Cup. Slot handed the Mexico international his breakthrough in Europe 2 years ago, signing him from Cruz Azul in Mexico. Gimenez worked closely with the Dutchman for 2 years, scoring 49 goals in 85 appearances across all competitions. And then in May 2023, Dirk Kuyt branded the Mexican as the best striker in the Netherlands. Speaking to ESPN, he said, he's back here in the middle of the defenders and he's really fast, watching the keeper before he shoots. The rest, in my opinion, he is currently the best striker in the Eredivisie. So, what says you, audience? Eredivisie, too big of a step up? Or is there a potential bargain to be had with Santiago Gimenez? Already, the name makes me love him. Santiago Gimenez sounds like an absolute prodigy of a name to me, but I don't watch the Eredivisie that much, so I need your help on this one. Rebel21, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, my friend. Thank you for your support of the channel. Squeaky Clean, member for 3 months with Anfield Agenda Ultras, thank you. Said, hey Craig, hope you're in fine form tonight. What do you think about loaning Danns out to Dortmund? They develop youth quite well. I mean, I wouldn't say no, because as you've said, they have a clear pathway for developing young talent. I do think a loan is the right option for Jayden Danns. He is as close to a guarantee as being able to make it, in my opinion. So I think yeah, I like it. I like the idea of him going on loan. Dortmund would be great. I think a high-level championship team pushing for promotion would be great as well. Sorry, I've just been sent something here. Ooh, Jacob Steinberg has just posted to say Chelsea were rejected by Kieran McKenna. So they did try to get him, but he rejected them. And yeah, he's going to stay and sign a new deal with Ipswich. So fair play. That's a big call from McKenna. I think it's the right call because, you know, Chelsea's recent history of managers isn't great. So yeah, nice one. Right, let's get back to a little bit of talk about Santiago Gimenez before I move on to talk about Sepp van den Berg, because I did promise our friend a minute ago that I'd go over that. Do I think Bajcetic can cement his place in the number 6 next season? It's a difficult question to answer without knowing exactly what way Arne Slot's going to line up with Liverpool. I do think in the 4-2-3-1, if that is the formation that we end up playing at Liverpool, I do feel that there is scope for Bajcetic to be part of that double pivot. But I do think it's a risk if you go into another campaign banking on his fitness and his level to be okay. The talent is there. The future is secure for him. But I don't know if we can go into another season hoping for a solution in a defensive midfield position rather than going out and solving it. Endo was a very good sticking plaster, is probably the way I'd describe him, but not the answer. Arsenal went out, brought in Declan Rice. Real Madrid went out, brought in Arlie and Gimenez. We need to do similar. We tried to do it with Caicedo. We were beaten to the punch by Chelsea. We need to act in that way, in my opinion. But on that kind of leads me back to David Lynch's comment, and again, David likes to say that he doesn't like things taken out of context or whatever, and I understand where he's coming from. But I'm going to just read this post that Anfield Edition posted, quoting him from a recent Anfield Index podcast. And I don't see how this really could be out of context, but however, I'm going to read it out. Anyway, it would be a struggle to see Liverpool signing a defensive midfielder this summer without a departure. And some people might look at that and think he means the owners are being cheap. I don't think that's what he means when he says that. I think he makes a very valid point about Liverpool's midfield places being quite packed. We might not necessarily have enough defensive midfielders, but if you go through the list of midfielders that currently are at the club, I mean, we basically went through an entire season without Thiago and Bajcetic and still didn't really notice the drop-off in the amount of midfielders available. So I do understand where David's coming from, and I think we could do with moving a midfielder or two on. Who that is, I mean, that will be open to debate. I'd sell Curtis Jones, personally. I don't think he's ever going to be consistent enough for us in the first team. I know that's not solving a defensive midfield position, but it is freeing up a midfield position. Other players like Bobby Clark, I'd probably loan out again for another season because I think Bobby Clark will come good in the long term. Bajcetic, again, I think it would be a massive risk going into the season and hoping that his fitness and his form can both be there. So I agree. I don't want to sell Endo because I like having Endo around, and I think it's important that we have some options as a defensive midfielder. So the name that was doing the rounds a lot today is one that I have to say, finally, I can say I've seen enough of and that I really like. And the name that I'm going to bring to you guys is the one I mentioned in the video earlier on today. It is Ederson. Not the Manchester City goalkeeper, but there was an article coming out of Atalanta that said, Liverpool are said to be keeping tabs on Atalanta defensive midfielder Ederson. The Brazilian has played an important role in the team this season, helping the Italians to go on and lift the Europa League trophy and a guaranteed top 4 finish. Tutto Atalanta claims Liverpool will consider an approach for the 24-year-old who has 3 years left on his deal. Arne Slot likes to play with a midfield double pivot, and Ederson would fit into that mould. I really, really like this guy. Really like him. Usually I would say to you when I watch Atalanta games, X and Y wouldn't stand out or blah, blah, blah. But I have noticed Ederson. He is very good in that role, in my humble opinion. At 24 years of age, I think it's perfect. I've seen figures of about 40 to 45 million mentioned elsewhere, but I would definitely take up the option to sign Ederson if it was something that appealed to Liverpool, because he's really impressed me, and I think he's in the perfect age point now. You've got Endo, who's 30, you've got Bajcetic coming through, and Tyler Morton, who are younger, and then maybe you've got this guy, 24 years of age. I like it. I like the idea of bringing him in at 24 for the here and now, allowing the development of Bajcetic as well. Endo stay to nurture the upcoming young ones. Look, there's no doubt in my mind Endo has a place in this squad. you notice when Endo's not on the pitch what you're missing. So I do think Endo should be kept around 100%. Sell Curtis Jones, Nat Phillips and Salah if no new contract, and Gimenez got to go, said Andre Nielsen. Andre, I agree with every damn word you've written there, bro. Every one of them. For varying reasons, right? So I'd sell Curtis Jones because I'm sick of the inconsistencies and, one swallow doesn't make a summer. Who's going to make that? That's what she said, Joe. Come on. So I'd sell him in a heartbeat. I don't think he's going to cut it. And I do think that the fact he's a Scouser probably does adds to keeping him around. And he's homegrown. Nat Phillips deserves to go and play football elsewhere. He deserves to establish himself. Salah, again, I agree with you. You said if no new contract. And it doesn't look like there is going to be a new contract forthcoming from what we're seeing lately. So for me, letting Salah go on a free would be absolute madness. And Costas Gimenez just isn't good enough, in my opinion. He's a lovely guy. I've nothing against Costas, but he's not going to take over from Andy Robertson. He's not going to become Liverpool's starting left back. And I think that tells us everything we need to know. So yes, if there were some players to move on, I don't have any arguments with all of the names you've mentioned there. Craig, we still need a top DM. I think Ederson could be that guy. Honestly, I think he is really, really good. And when I seen this link today, it's one that really excited me because I watched him. He stood out on a few occasions. Great energy, great defensive awareness, and just a really good, solid player. So I'd have no issues. I'd rather him than Liverpool going to sign Koopmeiners, who is a little bit older, isn't a number 6 really, and Juventus are also interested in. So for me, this will be the guy at the right price. Jones is one of the best midfielders in our squad. I don't think he is. And now look, it's an opinion thing, and I'm not going to jump down your throat, George, for you saying that he is. Curtis Jones has been like this for Liverpool. Up and down, up and down. Injury, lack of form, brilliant form, then lack of form again. His press is really impressive, but I just don't see the consistency. I just don't. I'd be hard pressed to sell a homegrown player, all right. There is that side of it. But I can't see an argument from being one of the best midfielders in the squad. He's nowhere near it, in my opinion. You know, you've got at least 3 off the top of my head who are better than him in every way, shape or form. And I throw Elliott in the mix as well. So I think Curtis Jones, he didn't build on that impressive performance that he had the season before this, and some of this season, because he showed that he's capable of being brilliant. But consistency is just so important, and availability as well. Jones is a great squad option. No reason to move him on. Well, we're just having a conversation, Alejandro, about the fact that Liverpool are very well stocked in midfield. So if you do want to bring somebody in, so let's say Arne Slot plays a 4-2-3-1 for Liverpool. As an example, where does Jones fall into that system? Because the right side is going to be Salah, potentially Dominic Szoboszlai. Centrally, you're looking at McAllister, Elliott. Maybe you could throw him into the mix for that central position, but he'd still be second or third on my list. And I think you could get a pretty penny for him. So I think we're kind of stocked in midfield. That's why I'm talking about maybe selling Jones. I don't think it's going to happen, by the way. I don't think Liverpool are going to sell him. But for me, he's certainly one that I think we could afford to move on. Defacement Network, how are you, my friend? So Craig, I want to thank you for the off-season streams, especially today. It's Memorial Day here. I just appreciate the distraction. Mate, thank you for watching. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for your support. You know, we don't stop making content. We go right throughout the year for a whole host of reasons. Mostly because I miss you guys when I don't stream. I've just come back from 4 days off, and every single day I wanted to come on and stream, but I appreciate you saying such a kind thing, mate. Thank you. Yes, do hit the like button. Let's see if we can get to 1,000 likes on tonight's stream. We're at nearly 500. We're an hour roughly into the stream. So if you haven't already, please do hit that like button for me. Curtis Jones reeks of a Fulham player. Could be a good shout, yes. Although I don't know, would he move down to London? See, London would put me off if I was a footballer. The bright lights and attraction of London wouldn't be it for me. I live much more of a quiet life, so the likes of Liverpool, Manchester, somewhere a bit quieter would be better for me. But maybe, I don't know, maybe Curtis Jones as a young lad would like the bright lights of London. So let's check back in on the poll where we said, would you take Adeyemi at Liverpool? We've had 995 votes, so pretty much at the 1,000 mark. And so far, I'm going to let it hit the last couple of votes there. There we go. So 76%, we've had 1,001 votes, and 76% of you guys said yes, you would indeed like Karim Adeyemi. Now, I've got a bit of unofficial Anfield Agenda news for you. I've made a decision, an executive decision that I've yet to run past everybody else, but I've made a goddamn decision. I'm going to start a podcast this summer, an Anfield Agenda podcast, audio only, because I feel like we need to move into that. I know when I was a professional driver for a living, when I drove taxis and stuff, I lived off podcasts, be it the Anfield Rap, the Magic Sponge, loads of them, and I miss it. Because I cut my teeth in the podcast world before I came on to YouTube. And I really miss it. And I feel like there's a space for an Anfield Agenda weekly podcast. So I'm currently chatting with somebody that I think would be a good foil for me, a good number 2 for me to bounce off. And I think we're going to see an Anfield Agenda podcast coming up over this summer, once a week throughout the season. And I can't wait for it. Because I love podcasts and I miss them. And I hope it's something that you guys will give a listen to. And I'll let you know when we've got everything nailed down. But I want it. I want a podcast. I miss it. Really want Carvalho to come through this season. He can be one of our best midfielders. That's just another one, by the way, Chris, we can throw into the number 10 position role. Which again shows how stacked we are in midfield. You need to add a whatever Michael Edwards wants on the transfer polls. Fair, James. It certainly will get my vote anyway, bro. Whatever Michael Edwards wants. So, Mark just sent me a little note to say Ederson, as in the Atalanta player, his contract expires in 2027. Transfer market has him valued at about 30 million euro. Other than that, he hasn't really missed too many games. He had a bit of a hamstring injury, but good. Virgil van Dijk has, again, confirmed, I guess, his commitment to Liverpool, saying, I'm here for the trainer and I'm looking forward to the next season, which is good news, but it'll be better news if I hear a new contract for Virg, because that's what we're all waiting to see. Lee Gunner, Adam, Ben and True Geordie would be very good guests for your podcast. So, I thought about the podcast idea in 2 ways, Harry. I did think, should I go broader and speak about more footballing matters? And the names on your list there were names that popped into my head straight away. But to start off with, I think I want to just do Liverpool, because that's my subject matter that I feel most confident with. So I feel like an audio podcast is going to be a good addition to the Anfield Agenda content. And I think it's something that I don't know how we'll do this, and I'm probably throwing the lads under a bus here, but I hope to add early availability of it to the Anfield Agenda members. That's something that I hope we can be able to do as well. So leave it with me, but there will be a podcast coming up this summer, and it will be a Liverpool podcast to start with. We are talking with people about top of the league at the minute. We've had a couple of expressions of interest to buy the channel. And we've had a couple of expressions of interest to join up forces with people and help build out top of the league. So again, that's something else that's working away in the background. So just leave it with me. Someone says, hey, True Geordie. I've got to say, I take people as I find them. And Brian, aka True Geordie, has only ever treated me really well. When I've visited over there, when I've spoken to him, I can only say good things about him. I know people do and say things that others don't like, and we don't all agree on everything all the time, but I take people as I find them. And Brian has been good to me, with me, and I've always enjoyed his company. So, I won't be saying anything negative about Brian because I like the guy. I'm so desperate for the left-footed centre-back and a winger striker of Mane qualities that can win the league already, said Odwa. Well, I think you're going to be happy. Now, I haven't forgotten. I'm going to talk about Sepp van den Berg because somebody asked me earlier on. King, I believe the gentleman's name was, and I did say I'd get around to it. Mohammed, I love you too, bro. Thank you for your kindness, mate. Appreciate you. So, this has been quoted again to the podcast from Anfield Index with David Lynch was on. And he said, regardless of whether Sepp van den Berg returns at Mainz next season, I wouldn't expect the defender to be part of Liverpool's long-term plans. Now, again, there may be more to that conversation. I'm sure there is around that subject, so I'd urge you to go and have a listen to it. But it's a good indication. And lots of times we ask what is going to happen with Sepp van den Berg because he's had a pretty good loan spell at Mainz, helped him avoid relegation in the Bundesliga. And I would have thought that he would have been looked at by Arne Slot. But maybe that decision's already been made and maybe Liverpool will look to move him on in the summer. I feel it's probably the right time to make that decision one way or the other. You know, he's had loan spells and he's never really had a chance at Liverpool. So if they're not going to give him a chance now, maybe moving him on is the right idea. Will it be on Spotify? I would imagine we'll put it on most of the big podcast platforms, mate. Yes. It's been a while since I've been around the podcast, but yeah, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, they'd certainly be the ones you're looking to get on first. Craig, just watched that cartoon of Klopp and the kid and it almost made me burst into tears. Yeah, there's been a lot of hit you right in the feels moments with Jurgen recently. Yeah, there has. So I'm with you. Right, where am I? Sorry, I'm going back through my notes here for one sec because I'm trying to figure out what I haven't spoken about yet. We spoke about Piero Hincapié. For those of you coming in a little bit late, it looks like he could be available this summer, at least according to Bild, who've suggested that if Jonathan Tah signs on in a new deal, that maybe Piero Hincapié is going to be available for between 60 and 70 million euro this summer. Liverpool and Chelsea have been mentioned as interested clubs. And Nick, thank you, Nick, for gifting 10 Anfield Agenda memberships, mate. Really kind of you. Really appreciate that support. I'm not going to talk about this, but I'm just going to leave it up on screen there for a while because obviously with a few days to go, trying to push those last few tickets. And thank you again, Nick, top man. Even if we renew Salah's contract, he's 32. If he signs for 5 years, he'll be 37. Now, he's not going to sign for 5 years, mate. If you were to give Mohamed Salah or Virgil a contract extension at their ages, I would imagine you're talking 2 years. Whether that's one more year on top of the 1 year they have or 2 more years on top of that 1 year. The hope with Salah would be that if you did that and Saudi came calling next year, then maybe you could sell. But again, I got to point this out. Mohamed Salah and his agent, they're going to be no idiots. They're going to be well aware that they have the leverage at this moment in time. Because when January rolls around, if Mohamed Salah hasn't signed a new deal at Liverpool, he can sign a pre-contract agreement to go to anywhere outside of the Premier League and wouldn't even have to inform Liverpool that he'd signed that pre-contract. So letting it get this far is, I agree with David Lynch, it's setting itself up for a situation where he runs his contract down and leaves for free. And that is the height of stupidity. It is. For the football club, it's just madness. That means we will have lost Firmino, Mane and Salah, our top 3 forwards that were under the Jurgen Klopp era, for a combined 30-35 million euro. That stinks. For a football club that's supposed to be clever and good in the market, that stinks. So I know I sound harsh when I say this, but if Salah doesn't want to agree a new deal, on the bench you go, fella. I don't give a damn if he earns 350 G's a week. Liverpool have to make a statement here. And Liverpool have to show that nobody is bigger than the club and nobody is going to leverage the club. So other people can say Mohamed Salah signed a contract, he's honouring that contract. And there's some weight to that argument as well. But for me, Liverpool Football Club need to bring in money for Mohamed Salah and not let him leave for free. And yes, it's a big statement to say let him sit on the bench, But let me pitch you another story. We don't sell him, and he starts playing in the season. Starts doing well, starts scoring a couple of goals. How long do you think it's going to take before you start seeing articles linking him with a move to X, Y, or Z? Doesn't matter where. And it's going to cause fusion and arguments inside our fan base. He won't, and I'm saying this factually, he will not give 100% because nobody does in these situations, whether subconsciously or consciously. He'll be not going into challenges full-blooded. Will he run that extra yard knowing that it could potentially hinder his next move? An injury could hinder that big money move away. It's madness. It's absolute madness to me that this situation's happening. And it's the same with Trent and Virgil, except at least with Trent, you hope that at 25 years of age, heading into his prime, local boy, shouldn't be too difficult. Throw the money at him that he deserves and get that deal done. A thank you for Liverpool would be Salah sign a new deal to raise value and get sold for next season. Even at that, I've got to be honest, Coach Bill. Now is the time to sell for me in every facet. He's on the decline, and nothing is going to convince me that he isn't on the decline. And I think next season we'll probably see a carbon copy of others. Starts the season well, has an injury, and then struggles towards the latter part of the campaign. And this is before we have the conversation about him maybe playing in the Olympics for Egypt. I mean, that's just taking the piss. If they call him up after the whole AFCON stuff, I hope Liverpool say no. And I believe Liverpool do have the ability to say no, or any club does for the Olympics. I don't think you have to release players for the Olympics, unlike national team games where of course you do have to release the players. Do I think Slot will make Núñez the best striker in the league like Gimenez? Well, I've got an interesting piece on that actually. So this piece here talks about exactly what you've spoken about there, Darwin Núñez. And it said, Darwin Núñez has shown flashes of brilliance but has struggled with consistency in finishing. Panenka, LFC's podcast, suggests that Slot's attention to detail could be the key to unlocking Núñez's potential. Slot's methodology involves using video footage to analyse and correct mistakes, a technique he has employed successfully with other strikers. Núñez's high energy and physicality align with Arne Slot's preferred style of a pressing number 9. Statistics back this up, with Núñez ranking in the 96th percentile among forwards for tackles in the final third. Slot's system, which emphasises a central role for the number 9, could suit Núñez, who has often drifted into wide areas. This is music to my ears. Absolutely. We know that no manager is going to be the same as the last manager. And even if we talk about similarities in systems, there are differences as well. And how Slot analyses and breaks things down is a little bit different to Jurgen. And I think we have to give Darwin an opportunity. And I've never been on board with the idea of selling him, because there's so much there. And you're going to lose a fortune if you sell him now, because you're not going to get the money back you paid for him. So I think the best course of action is to hope that Arne Slot can piece the Darwin jigsaw together and put those last few finishing touches to it. Because even if we had 2 good years, what a 2 good years that could be. You know, the dude's capable of magic. So I hope Arne Slot can figure it out. Because if we can, you know, it would solve a big headache for us. Darwin Núñez banging in 25, 30 goals would be most welcome. Do you think we should have sold Salah and got Kudus? I think so, said Mohammed. So this is where I'm a bit weird, Mohammed. I wouldn't have sold Salah last winter or last summer when the offers from Saudi were coming in. I think Liverpool's stance was the right one then. But I spoke about this and quoted it recently. Mr. Turki Al Sheikh, who is very senior in all things Saudi Arabian sport, spoke about the fact that there was a deal in place with Salah to go to Saudi last summer, that he had agreed the move, and Liverpool changed their mind at the last minute and decided to keep Salah. So he was willing to make that move last summer, according to Turkey Al Sheikh, and as I said, his word with regards to Saudi sports is pretty powerful. So if he was willing to do it last summer, then why not this summer? Unless you're keeping a big payday for yourself and hoping to just run down the contract and then off to Saudi you pop with a massive signing on bonus and wages. So this is where Liverpool need to play hardball with Rami Abbas and Salah, in my opinion. Whitehammer, thank you for your super chat, bro. Said Mo leaving is the key for a new start for Liverpool. I don't think it's the key, but I think it's the right time. You know, Jurgen leaving, I think it is the right time for Mo. I think Verge has a couple more years in him. He needs some help. We need another centre-back brought in. And Verge needs a stable partner alongside him, because between Kwanzaa and Kanade, we've had a lot of chopping and changing this season. And I do think we do need to get that left-footed centre-back in that we can rotate in for Virgil and maybe manage his minutes a bit better. Pranav, thank you for your super chat. There was no super chats for an hour or so. Now all of a sudden they're starting to fly in, so thank you everyone. Pranav said, Craig, where would Hincapie start if we were to sign him? Virgil plays left-sided centre-back, need to prioritise a right centre-back. Also, we need a world-class DM badly. So, with regards to Hincapie, Virgil can, if necessary, move to the right side, if we needed him to. Hincapie could also cover for Virgil on the left-hand side and play alongside a Jarell Kwanzaa or an Ibrahima Kanade if needs be. So, I'd rather we get the centre-back in and then figure out the partnerships of it, because we need that centre-back. Joe Matip leave us a little bit short, and I do think, whether it's Hincapie or somebody else, a left-footed centre-back has been what's been spoken about as Liverpool's priority. Now, Lenny Yoro, as an example, somebody who I'm going to speak about now for a minute or two, he's been linked to Liverpool, and he's a right-footed centre-back, but he can play left or right side of a back two, if you're talking about the centre-back positions. And David Lynch, again, has been quoted as saying, I'm going to read this again. Unless Lenny Yoro is completely convinced by Liverpool's sporting project, it would be a surprise if he picked Anfield over either Real Madrid or PSG this summer, who can offer more lucrative contracts than Liverpool might not be able to match. So, PSG, if he goes there, it's a money grab. Plain and simple. I could see him going to Real Madrid for the project as well as the money. Because let's be honest, Madrid are a huge club and they're building something pretty impressive there. With Mbappe looking like he's going there, Bellingham being there, Endrick coming in, Vinny Jr. You don't need me to go through the names. Rodrigo, Valverde, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, if Real Madrid are at the table and they want Lenny Yoro, then maybe we can't get that sorted. But I do like to think that Liverpool will step up for the right guy and try to compete. And Lenny Yoro is only 18 years of age. He's been playing since he's been 16 in the first team. And he's an incredible talent. He's not my preferred number one target. Antonio Silva is still the guy for me who I'd like to see from Benfica. But Lenny Yoro would be an incredible get if Liverpool could get that deal sorted. Stevie Boy, thank you for your super chat, mate. Said, I'm all for selling Salah, but saying I would not have an issue if he runs down his contract. Same for Trent. Liverpool are to blame for this. Players are doing their job. So, there's valid points there, Stevie Boy. And I've said this before. When a player signs a contract, all that we as fans can expect is that the player sees out that contract. So others will probably agree with you and say, if Salah runs it down, so be it. That's on the club. This is where I want the club to be a bit more ruthless though, mate, and stand up for themselves. So the club will argue that there's a reason that the contract situation for Trent, for Virgil and for Mohamed Salah has went the way it has, and that is the Jurgen Klopp departure. They will say that Jurgen Klopp made his announcement, and obviously then the club had to go about bringing in a new sporting director when George Schmadtke left, a new coach when Jurgen was leaving, and then a whole new backroom team as well. And we'll move on to talk about another addition to Arne Slot's backroom team in a minute. But I also feel like between the time they knew it was going to be Slot and now, they should have been negotiating, and we should have had a breakthrough on at least one of these three. Every day and week and month that goes by, I get more and more frustrated by it, because you're right, it's not clever from the club, and And how we've let it get to this position, I don't know. I really don't know. If it was an arrogance, thinking Saudi were going to come back in and throw a load of money at us for Mo and Mo was going to go. Was it naivety, thinking that maybe they'd agree a new deal with Mo? Or was it just they were willing to let Mo go for free? I don't know the answer to it. But I know that this is the worst situation of the three potential ones. Club to blame with all these contracts starting from Genie. Loads of stuff I agree with that you guys have said. For a club that are supposed to be super clever with money, we have made a few baffling decisions with regards to contracts and running them down. And whatever about Salah and Virgil, you can at least point to their ages or whatever. But Trent, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's the height of stupidity that a young man who is a scouser through and through, the vice captain of the football club, has definitely looked like he's turned the corner into a more senior leadership role. How do you let him get into the last year of his deal? It has to be hubris from the club's perspective that they don't think it's going to be a big issue. Because I'm worried. I'm worried that Real Madrid are going to come sniffing around, and maybe with Jurgen gone, Trent thinks, well, he was my mentor. He was the guy that really established me and, developed me. I hope that's not the case, but again, we're leaving ourselves vulnerable, right? Is Tchouaméni still available? So there was an article on Tchouaméni today as well. I wasn't going to bring it up, but Peter O'Rourke from Football Insider has said, where have we gone? It'll be an interesting one to watch. No, that was about Salah, sorry. There was a different one here somewhere about Tchouaméni. I think Liverpool would be in for Tchouaméni if Real Madrid made him available. I just don't see Real Madrid making him available. Why would they? They're building something there, and I don't think they need to. Here we go. It was on this one. One name that has frequently surfaced in discussions is Aurélien Tchouaméni. Again, this is David Lynch quote. If they could get Tchouaméni for some reason Real Madrid lost their mind and wanted to sell him, but I don't see that happening. Tchouaméni would undoubtedly be a dream signing for Liverpool, giving his prowess and potential. However, as David Lynch suggests, such a transfer seems highly improbable given Real Madrid's investment and interest in the player. So yeah, I don't see it happening. I think Real Madrid got their man and we lost out there. Robinson, great cover for left back, said Sydney Sat. I like him. He's a little bit older than I would ideally like. What is Anthony Robinson? 26, I think. He was quoted recently as saying that he's going to wait to see what Fulham want to do. The ball's in Fulham's court. He's happy at Fulham, but, I think he'd be open to the move, personally. I know he has a bit of a background with Everton, but I like Anthony Robinson. I do. I think he's a very, very good left-sided player with a great engine. No updates on Kudus for people asking in the chat. No, nothing new that I've seen on Kudus. Sorry, again, just checking through my notes here. Cool. Right, let's get to you guys now. I'm just going to spend the next 45 minutes or so or whatever answering whatever you guys want me to talk about. So, Elise is a question from Oliver Norgard. Two clubs have been stronger linked to Elise than us. Manchester United and Chelsea. Chelsea tried to get him last year, as we know. He decided to stay. They've been linked again. I think it's a £60 million buyout clause. And I would love Elise, but I've not seen enough to suggest that we're really at the table for him. But that doesn't mean something's not happening behind the scene. He's a cracking player, Elise. You have to be concerned about those hamstring injuries, but I don't know what the future holds there, and until we hear more about it from a Liverpool-based journal or something, I think we're just going to have to take it that we'd like him, but there's no real media speculation there. I would prefer Isak. I'm going to ask you guys a question on a poll that's been bugging me. And it's about two Newcastle players. So you can have one of these players who you haven't at Liverpool. So bear with me. Right, so 1 second. Which one of these two are you having? You can either sign one of these two only, Bruno Gimenez or Isak from Newcastle. Which one are you having? So let me know in the poll which one you go for, which one you think would be a better fit at Liverpool. I have very strong feelings on this in one direction, but I'm not going to tell you which one because I don't want to try and influence the poll. I'll let you guys know at the end. Who's your preference for a right winger? There's loads of them, Tanya, that I'd be more than happy with. So Bakayoko is one that we've been really strongly linked with, and there was another story again today talking about Bakayoko. Again, David Lynch said there's no doubt Liverpool are watching Yohan Bakayoko, but he's a bit out of the club's usual profile, who you'd usually have a few more solid years of goal scoring production under their belt. Nico Williams, somebody else that I'd love. He predominantly plays on the left at Bilbao, but can play on the right as well. Who else were we talking about right hand side? Adeyemi could be interesting for the right money. Elise would be a dream. I'd absolutely love Elise. And I'm probably sure there's probably 3 or 4 more there. But number one target, excuse me, I like Nico Williams. I can't lie, I do. I know left hand side is his preference, but we can move players around. We've seen it happen before. A little bit today from Dario AS, who say Luis Diaz agents reportedly met with Barcelona to discuss transfer terms in March of 2024. Barcelona representatives feel there was a lack of leadership and winning instinct in the squad and see Diaz as a solution. I don't know where I sit on this one. I don't want to sell Diaz, but I also don't want a player who might have his head turned at the club. And if Barcelona somehow find the money to make an offer for Diaz, I feel like they're going to keep pushing and probing and pushing and turning up the propaganda machine, and all their Barcelona friendly outlets are going to keep talking about it and pushing it, and we know how they operate. So it always worries me when these things keep coming back up. PSG I'm not so worried about, because yes, they could be an option, but I feel like we would absolutely rinse PSG for an amount of money if he wanted to go there. Barcelona, it's not a step forward to go to PSG for me for Diaz. It's a weird one. Isak is better, but Bruno's more realistic. I don't know if he is. I think both of them probably have a similar price tag, which is around 100 million. Certainly with Bruno Gimenez, that's his release clause, that I think it can be paid over 3 installments, but 100 million is that clause. Do you think give by Chetich till January to develop to see if we need a long-term CDM, as Endo's very good rotation player? I don't like the idea of trying to do business again in January, because if you bring a player in January, you have to hope they hit the ground running, and if they don't, you've almost wasted the entire year then. So I think if we are to look to address the DM market, it has to be in the summer, and the sooner the better. I want us to do some business before the Euros start. I think the window opens up something like June 13th or 14th, but you can sign players before then. You just can't register them with UEFA and FIFA until that date. Leao going to Saudi. If he makes that move, it is such a waste of talent. If Rafa Leao does indeed take the offer and move to Saudi, it's such a loss for European football, and it's such a waste of him. He's better than the Saudi Pro League. He just is. But Newcastle need money and teams know it. A little bit less now, ironically, that they don't have to fall under UEFA's FFP system. They do have the Premier League profit and sustainability rules that they need to keep an eye on. And I do think, yes, Newcastle are open to losing one player for a big sum of money this summer. Do you think Slot should focus on the youth academy? Not solely focus on it, because then that gets the owners out of jail again about being cheap. But there's nothing wrong with promoting some youth players through, but you want to make sure that you're not relying on them. And this is the way I look at it. Youth players are brilliant. We all love it when an academy product comes through. But you want to make sure that you're not relying on them and putting too much pressure on that academy product, because sometimes they take 2 seasons to develop when they get into the first team, and that's okay. There shouldn't be a rush. But if you're promoting somebody in and then expecting them to be the answer and they're not, that's a lot of pressure. So I think a mixture is the right way forward. Craig, your opinion on Rodrigo Mora? No idea who he is, Coach Bill, mate. Sorry, not got a clue who the lad is. Liao will probably replace Mbappe. Again, what a waste if he does. Going to PSG for what? To win the French League and get knocked out of the Champions League? It's just... I don't see the appeal of PSG unless you're after the pound note. I don't see the appeal of it at all. Trent in the middle next season. I want to say yes, but Arne Slot has been known to invert a fullback as well. So I'm not sure. I feel so much more comfortable around the whole situation with Trent now, knowing that we've got Connor Bradley there, who, you know, can play right back if Trent is moved into midfield, or, you know, can compete with Trent if Trent stays at right back. I'm open to it. I think Trent's ball playing ability is probably at its best in a central position. I just don't know. I think a double pivot would be the best way to try and utilise Trent into it. Almost have him as a quarterback. Have somebody there to be that tackler, to win the ball, give it to Trent, and then let Trent do his magic. What about Núñez snubbing Klopp in his farewell in the dressing room? See, we've talked about this story quite a bit. So, for your story about Núñez snubbing him, I can show you a story of Núñez dancing with Jurgen Klopp at his farewell party and ushering him into the centre to dance. I can show you the farewell post that he wrote to Jurgen, wishing him well and thanking him. We're all different human beings, and I don't know Darwin Núñez well enough to know if he was being an asshole, if he was sad, if he was unsure how to process things. We all react to different things in different ways. So my only concern with Darwin Núñez is what happens on the football pitch, and that he does need to brush up a little bit on. Craig, I think we can win the league with Slot if he is properly backed. Thoughts? It'd be a lot to ask to do it in year one for any coach coming in. I do think we have a very good squad, a couple of additions, and we should be there or thereabouts. But I want to get to a comment from Ten Lasso for a minute, because he's already getting a bit bitchy, Ten Lasso. Talking about Feyenoord and Slot. This is what Ten Lasso had to say. People have been overly lyrical about Feyenoord. They were steady this year, but not top. PSV were 2 classes better in all areas. They were so much better than Feyenoord. So a couple of things about what Ten Lasso had to say there. Firstly, smacks of him being really salty about the fact that loads of people are saying that he's a much better coach than Ten Lasso, Arne Slot, especially people in the Netherlands. He also neglects to mention that Feyenoord have the smallest budget of the 3 big Dutch teams. Ajax have much the bigger budget. PSV Eindhoven in second and Feyenoord in third. And he did deliver a league title the season before and a cup this year. He was also voted Dutch Manager of the Season for 2 years in a row. And it just sounds like Ten Lasso's salty to me. He just sounds rattled. And I'm here for it. I love it. But he needs to shut the fuck up, in all honesty. I've never been somebody who bought into the Ten Hag hype. I've never, ever believed it. I think United should have got Pochettino instead of him when they had the chance. And if United do keep him, I think it's going to be the wrong decision. And I think he'll be sacked halfway through next year, because he's just full of it, in my opinion, Ten Hag. I just think he's an absolute superstar in his own head. That's my opinion of him. And I love that he's already getting salty about Arne Slot, who hasn't even had a press conference yet, because it shows we're already in his head. Craig, after 1 year, I still cannot understand why we paid 40 million for Gravenberch. Really? Wow, you're not going to enjoy my end of season player ratings then if you can't understand why we paid that money for Gravenberch, because I think it's going to be a bargain. I can't be the only one. So, when you're talking about Ryan Gravenberch, a couple of things have to come into the conversation. One, he was coming into Liverpool off the back of very little football and no rhythm. Comes into Liverpool, and this season has had an up and down time of it between being selected and not being selected. And for me, when he's had a good game, he hasn't been rewarded with another game. And I think 40 million euro for him is going to be a bargain. I love that he can carry the ball through the lines well. I love that he's a midfielder who wants to get into the penalty area and get on the end of things and make stuff happen. And I'm completely in disagreement with you over that signing. I think it's going to be a really astute piece of business over time. And I think under Arne Slot, he's going to come on, develop even more. So I have to say, I think I was really doubtful about it beforehand. And I was openly doubtful about it. But I changed my mind quite quickly. I mean, I like Gravenberch. Pedro Neto, what do you think about him? Again, good player, injury concerns, and Wolves looking for a lot of money. There was talk that Wolves would want 80 or 85 million in a couple of articles a while back if indeed they were to sell Pedro Neto. So, you know, would I spend that much on Neto with that injury record? No, I wouldn't. But as a player, I've always liked him. Right, so we're about 370 likes away. So if you haven't hit the like button, folks, please do. I really do appreciate each and every one of you taking the time to do it. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. We've got half an hour left because I'm going to go for the full 2-hour stream tonight because why not? Let's treat ourselves. Okay, lads, I've got a weird question for you. Sorry, I have to move, but this is a weird question and I don't mean it to be crass if any kids are listening, but also, earmuffs kids. Does anybody else get Bernie balls when they sit down for too long? My wife laughs at me all the time because if we're on a long plane journey, let's say somewhere, after about 2.5, 3 hours, the old Leroy, the old crown jewels start to burn and sting. And I was wondering, am I the only one? Like, is something wrong with me? Or do other people suffer the old Bernie balls? Because for me, I have to move around or it gets uncomfortable. And it's not because of bins, by the way, before you ask. I know a lot of people are inquisitive about bins, but it has nothing to do with bins. My hip flexors seize up from sitting too long. Not a man. You're not much help to me then, Lauren, on the old crown jewel situation there, are you? Michael said, yup, most definitely. Mine get itchy, said Casper's Photography. There you go. Irritable, definitely. Good. At least I know there's nothing wrong with me then. Well, in that regard. Got a man spread a little? Yes, I do. I thought you were going to say Manscaped there, and I was going to say to you, dude, that game's on point, you know. Cut back on the manscaping. Never. Got to keep the grass on the pitch playable, dude. And bins is a serious thing, like. What are bins, you say? I was waiting for it. Bins, my friends, is something that is very common where I live. It's big Irish nut syndrome. And that's what bins is. It's, you know, it's an affliction that I have to carry and many Irish men have to carry with us with these big old Irish nuts. But, you know, we don't talk about it that much. It's, you know, bins is something that probably deserves more public consultation than it gets. Us Irish men have to suffer with the big Irish nut syndrome. But, lads, you know what I'm talking about. Go boxer free, Craig. Oh, I don't know. Am I that brave? Boxer free, Bill? I don't know about that now. I'm a boxer briefs man. But boxer free? I don't know, mate. What if I did a shirt? So, no, that I'd be worried about. Like, I have no protection there. No layer. Too much aftershave. I don't use aftershave, Dave. I use Lynx Africa like a respectable chav. I'm not even joking. I've got bottles of aftershave in there. Paco Rabanne and whatnot. But I'm a simple dude. Do you know, I'm a Lynx Africa man. My daughter even says to me that one of her memories of us going on holiday from childhood is always the smell of Lynx Africa just before we leave the house, because I gave her that last spray before we head off to the airport. Can you please say hi to Leanne? My mum doesn't know I've sent this and she's watching. From Max. Hi Leanne. Thank you for watching. I hope you're enjoying it. Sorry about all the talk about testicles there for a few minutes, but appreciate you watching and appreciate Max being with us as well. So thank you, Leanne. How do we get to balls? Mine start burning. That's how. And I had to ask a question to see if I was on my own. Harvey's barking, so I think Harvey's in the same boat as the rest of us. Lynx Africa is rank. I mean, I'm very close to banning you, mate, for that. Very close to it. Lynx Africa is... It's any self-respecting chav's fragrance of choice. Now, I'm not afraid of Lynx Black either. Lynx Black is okay, but Lynx Africa is the daddy. Have I ever visited Sudan? I haven't. I've never been to Africa, mate. I've never been to the continent of Africa. Right, so let's check in on the poll. We did say pick one if you were to sign for Liverpool. Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle or Isak from Newcastle. We'll leave it run until the end of the stream, but so far with 625 votes cast, there is a 71% preference for Alexander Isak. Do you think Ange can win Spurs a trophy? Yes, I think he can win a domestic cup. Oh, by the way, I don't know how this became a topic of conversation, but somehow the deluded Manchester United fan base, some of them, feel like winning an FA Cup means they've had a better season than Liverpool. Now, I understand that people would view the FA Cup as a bigger trophy than the League Cup. Personal preference aside, and this is well documented, I prefer the League Cup. But to say that you've had a better season when you've won an FA Cup and finished 8th and are in the Europa League versus us finishing 3rd and winning a domestic cup as well, I mean back in the Champions League and finishing with I think 22 points better off than United. Come on now. Come on. Like, fair play, you won a cup. I'm not going to push back on that. But 8th, the lowest I think you've ever finished in the Premier League. It's a disgrace. So, no. Santino, thank you, my friend, said, do you think that we get another midfielder? Who would you prefer if you could sign one player from a rival? Who would it be? So the midfielder, I like Ederson from Atalanta that we spoke about earlier on. And if I could take one player from a rival, who would it be? Rodri or Declan Rice, probably. I mean, there's a good few I'd like to take. I like Phil Foden. He's a great footballer as well. You could therefore make an argument for Saka coming in to replace Mo on the right. Van de Ven from Spurs. I think we missed the trick there. I think he's a good centre-back, although we had some injury concerns. Kobe Mainoo, let's give credit to Manchester United. Kobe Mainoo looks like an incredible young midfielder. So yeah, there's quite a few that I'd pinch off our rivals. Will the podcast be streamed on YouTube Music, if you don't mind me asking? I have not got a clue, George, mate. I haven't got a clue yet. We haven't gone into that much detail yet. But trust me, mate, when we make that decision and when it's about to go out, I'll let you know, don't worry. Mainoo overrated. Come on now. He's an 18-year-old kid. And I don't think he's overrated. No, he may not live up to the long-term standard, but he's a damn good young footballer. And he played really well as well in the FA Cup final. Got himself a very good goal. And, you know, I don't want to credit Manchester United for things, but I'm an honest fella. Kobe Mainoo's a really good player. Sabrina, I just want to read this comment out to you just while you're there. Your kids are lucky to have you as a father. I bet that you're an amazing dad.
You are.
Now say it with your top on. You looking forward to Friday?
What's Friday?
Belfast.
Yes, I was joking.
You get to meet Sabrina if you're at the Belfast, Cardiff or Liverpool shows. She's going to be there in attendance.
No photos shall be taken.
And in all honesty, I'm lucky. My wife's the better parent between the two of us by a country mile. My wife's the one that does all the running round, takes all the crap off my daughter, and I drift in for the glory. I'm the disciplinarian, I guess. But yeah, no, my wife's the.
You're the I'll tell daddy.
Yeah, I'm the last resort, the last line of defence. You know, if it gets to me, you're in trouble. If I have to make daddy move, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
It's definitely going down tonight. Craig overrated, said Dale. Yeah, I agree, mate. I am definitely overrated. Sabrina does the bulk of the parenting without a doubt in our house. You can't do any heavy lifting, love. You know what I mean? You can't lift these big Irish nuts. I asked the chat the question. You know the one that I ask you. Now my wife's in, so she'll repeat this. What happens to me on every plane journey we go on?
Itchy nuts.
Not so much
Burning
itchy.
nuts.
See? Burning nuts.
Itchy burning nuts.
There you go. I said it earlier on. I wonder was it just me?
Burning nuts.
Yeah, burning nuts.
Burning nuts.
So, and apparently there were a few other people who are similar. So it's not just me.
I don't have any, so I can't comment.
You do have a pair of nuts. Mine, they're in your purse.
Yeah, they're in my handbag. But
Now Ten Hag says he's a man in demand. He'd be a man in the job centre if I was running United.
any more questions?
No, I think that's it.
Oh, well, good.
I think we're done. I think we're done talking about my testicles for now, love, and thank you. Craig, you should be a sperm donor. You'd get so much money. I wouldn't though, because I've had the snip, so
Yeah,
it
they're
would be
pretty
useless. Yeah,
Just swim, that's all they do.
I've had a vasectomy, so they'd be useless.
They know how to swim and that's all they can do.
But my bath water is still available at all participating outlets.
Can you not... People sell farts in jars, you know.
Yeah, but I fart in freezers, love. You don't need to sell them in jars. You just open up the local Tesco freezer and there could be a little drop of Craig in there. I hope you've all taken to that, by the way. I hope that you all now go around farting in the big freezers and closing the door behind you, because if there's one thing I like to leave as a legacy to the world, it's a little freezer farting. Am I driving to Belfast? I surely am, and driving straight home afterwards.
Don't allow me to drive for your own safety.
Yeah. No, yeah, Connor's staying up in Belfast, but I'm coming straight home.
Children.
At least Chelsea finished 6th, spending all that money, unlike a tag. Yes. Shocking. Shocking. That I don't believe he's still in a job, in all honesty. After we whooped them 7-0, that should have been the end of him. Bernie Nuts, that's the name for your podcast. Could be. Could be. Fart in freezers. Yes, but very specific freezers, Ashlyn. You know the big tall ones in the supermarket that you open up to get your pizzas or whatever out of them. You have to be very specific about what freezers you're farting in. No good going around farting in the open freezers, because that just won't work. Celtic or Rangers, Craig? Neither for me, Dale. I picked Aberdeen to be awkward. I seen a clip of, I don't even want to say his name, saying that if Ten Hag stays, they'd be contending for the title next year and the year after. Yeah, the title of the biggest laughers, the biggest joke, the biggest wah 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 wah. But look, I don't really care what he has to say, because, you know, can you trust that when it comes out of his trap? This channel is nuts. Yes, or is the nuts. There you go, David. I would have taken nuts, mate. Nuts would have been fine, but I do love a tangent. So, you know, welcome in to the channel if you're new in. Yeah, welcome in. You know, we talk about everything and anything on here. Oh, lads, we're 702 likes. We're nearly there. We only need 300 more, so do hit that like button if you haven't done so. We've got 15 minutes left on tonight's stream to talk about whatever it is you want. I could see United in the top 4 next year. I don't know. Like, realistically, look at it right now. You couldn't see them getting in past Liverpool, Arsenal or City at the moment. So then you've got United, Spurs, and an improving Chelsea, and Aston Villa, and maybe a surprise package to contend with. I don't know if they'll finish top 4 next year. And I don't expect them to go out and have a massive summer transfer window either. So, yeah, I don't know. And I'm not trying to just say that to be an asshole because it's United. I'm being deadly serious. A lot will depend on what happens in the transfer market. But I wouldn't be starting off the season expecting them to be top 4 anyway. I think top 6, yes, maybe. But top 4, I think I wouldn't be putting money on it. You're starting 11 for the first game of the season without possible new signings and providing everyone is fit. Love the channel. Right, I'd go Alisson, Connor Bradley. You said without signings. So, Kanade, Van Dijk, Robbo, Trent and Endo in the double pivot. So, that'll be my 4-2. In the 3 then, I'd have McAllister central, Salah or Szoboszlai on the right, Gakpo on the left, and Darwin through the centre. That would be my starting 11 for the first game of next season, if everyone was fit. And you said I wasn't allowed to talk about players coming in, or so yeah, that would be my 11, I think. Not Aberdeen, Craig. That's Taggart's old club. For me, it actually, because it was Graham Hunter's club, and I'm a big fan of Graham Hunter's content and his footballing voice. So I just picked Aberdeen to be awkward because I don't buy into the religious divide. I don't like to buy into anything that divides people. So the Celtic Rangers thing, I've never really wanted to get involved in the Catholic Protestant part of that. And I don't really watch Scottish football, so it's not anything that really does it for me. I've got mates though who are massive Celtic fans, season ticket holders, go over all the time, but it's just not my cup of tea. Craig, Ederson of Atalanta is a good choice. I love the idea, mate. I spoke about it earlier on. So I'm going to go back and cover everything that we've gone through tonight really quickly. So if you're just coming in late, you'll be able to catch up. So there's an article coming from Tudo Atalanta that said Liverpool are tracking Ederson. Liverpool are said to be keeping tabs on Atalanta defensive midfielder Ederson. The Brazilian has played an important role in his team this season, with the Italians going on to lift the Europa League and a guaranteed top 4 finish. He's 24 years of age, he's got 3 years left on his contract, and I think about 40 million could get that done. And for me, he would be a very good, astute piece of business. I really do like him. He's not somebody I'm going to sit on the fence about and say I haven't seen enough of. I have, and I like what I've seen. We also spoke about Crescencio Somerville has almost certainly played his last game for Leeds United, according to Sport Witness. Liverpool are one of a number of Premier League clubs who are keeping an eye on him. We spoke about... we didn't speak about this yet. I forgot. Ruben Peters' agency confirms that he will join Arne Slot and Sipke Hulshoff at Liverpool, taking on the title of first team lead physical performance coach. So that's another addition to the Arne Slot backroom staff. We've got Sipke Hulshoff, who'll be his assistant, and now Ruben Peters coming in as the lead physical performance coach. After that, we spoke about the fact that Roberto De Zerbi has emerged as a surprise target for United should they decide to sack Ten Hag, even though I believe they've already offered Tuchel the job from what I've heard. We talked about Liverpool being in pot 1 in the Champions League. Then we spoke about Lenny Yoro and the fact that Liverpool, PSG, Madrid and a number of other clubs are looking at him. What else did we go through this evening? Bakayoko, again, David Lynch was saying there's no doubt that Liverpool are watching Johan Bakayoko, but he's a bit out of the club's usual profile of forwards who would usually have a little bit more of a few solid years of goal scoring and production under their belts. Then we spoke about Lucho, and Dario AS have said that Luis Diaz's agents met with Barcelona in March to discuss possible transfer terms. Barcelona representatives feel there was a lack of leadership and winning instinct in the squad, and they see Luis Diaz as a solution. After that, we spoke a little bit about Arne Slot's approach with Darwin Núñez and how this piece believes that he will be able to... sorry, I need to plug this in. My mouse has died, of course, just my luck. That this piece believes that he'll be able to fine-tune Darwin into being the player that we want him to be. What's next up? One sec. About Salah, there's a report that says it'll be interesting one to watch. He's got 12 months left in his contract. From a business point of view, now is the perfect time to let him go. You're never going to get 100 million from halfway through this season in January. If you're looking at 100 million now and you think you can recruit and build a squad with the players you've got, then I'd use that money to get a replacement. You've got to weigh up the opportunity in this season. What does a Champions League finish, a title challenge or an FA Cup mean to the club financially? Is a Champions League finish and a long run in the Champions League worth more to the club financially than selling Salah now? If they want to get their money from, he goes now. For him personally, if he waits another 12 months, that 100 million goes into his wages. As I've said all along, it does feel like that's the card he's looking to play. We spoke about David Ornstein confirming that McKenna is going to sign a new 3-year contract at Ipswich. There was also a report to say that he turned down the approaches of Chelsea. Then we had the Arne Slot taking a little cheap shot at, we had the Ten Lasso taking a cheap shot at Arne Slot, saying people have been overly lyrical about Feyenoord. They were steady this year but not top. PSV were 2 classes better in all areas. They were so much better than Feyenoord. Sounding a little bit salty there, Ten Lasso, just because the better Dutch coach is coming into the league. We spoke about Ederson. Then there was a piece from Bild in Germany who said, should Jonathan Tah stay and extend his contract, Piero Hincapié could become a candidate for sale. The Ecuadorian is wanted by Liverpool and Chelsea and could bring in between 60 and 70 million euro. Then we spoke a little bit about Santiago Gimenez, who Dirk Kuyt believes would be an astute signing, and we went through his numbers from his time moving from Cruz Azul to Feyenoord. And then Florian Plettenberg said, news regarding Karim Adeyemi, at the right price, Dortmund are open to discussing and would be willing to sell the 22-year-old winger. He's contracted at the club until 2027, and if he's looking for a new, and is now currently looking for a new agent, Adeyemi with a potential market in the Premier League, there are already interested teams. Whether Dortmund go all in for Chris Fulrich from Stuttgart depends on their plans in the wing position. Currently their interest has cooled somewhat. We've done that one. Then we spoke about Liverpool's debutants. Villa are setting a price tag of about 6 to 8 million for Coutinho. And then David Lynch again being quoted as saying it would be a struggle to see Liverpool signing a defensive midfielder without a departure, which I actually agree with. I do think freeing up some space in that midfield would be the right way of going about it. And then another one was Sepp van den Berg. David Lynch said, I wouldn't expect a defender to be part of Liverpool's long-term plans. That is pretty much everything that we've gone through on tonight's stream. So before we finish up, I just want to say a couple of quick things. Again, a reminder that we have 3 live shows left before we hang up our live show microphones. Belfast is coming up this Friday. Tickets are on sale right now on Ticketmaster if you want to come and see us. It's an over 18s event. Then the 2 shows that we're finishing off with, we're going to be in Cardiff on the 2nd of August at the Richard Burton Theatre. It's an amazing venue. I can't wait to go over there and see everybody. It's an all ages event. Tickets are priced at just £15. That's £15, or you can get a group of 4 tickets for £50. And then for Liverpool, for our last ever live show, we're going to be at the Hot Water Comedy Club in Liverpool at their new venue on August the 4th. Again, it's an all-ages event and tickets are priced at just £15. So I hope to see you there. After that, we're not doing any more live shows. So we do hope you can come and see us. The Cardiff and Liverpool shows are looking like they're going to sell out. The tickets are moving really fast. There are tickets available for Belfast as well if you want to come up on Friday. But apart from that, really enjoyed tonight's stream, so thank you so much to everybody for joining me. It's been loads of fun. Tomorrow I will be back as normal, same time, same place. See you for a 8:30 stream, and yeah, much love. Appreciate your support, and if you're new to the channel, do hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the stream. I think that's about everything. So again, Ted Lasso finished above Slot. So, did he? With who? Slot won the league with Feyenoord. Ten Lasso has done what exactly? Finished above Slot. When? What was that when he was at Alkmaar or something? And even then, I think it was goal difference in the year that there was no league title awarded because of the pandemic. But he's a shit manager, mate. So I don't really mind. You're entitled to your opinion, and I respect your opinion, but I don't rate him at all. Look, I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We only need 246 more likes to get to 1,000, so please do hit it on the way out. I'll see you tomorrow. Much love. Thank you.